Good morning and welcome to Focus on South Texas. I'm your host this weekend, Erin Nichols. Thank you so much for joining us this weekend. Well, of course, welcome to the new year. It is 2016, and if your New Year's resolution is to get more involved with your community or even to give back to those in need, this show is going to give you some great ideas on how to do that. So I want to welcome my first guest this weekend who are here from the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center. I want to welcome Madeline Chalk as well as LeWayne Ballard to the program. And of course, guys, we are talking about National Blood Donor Month, which is January.
Yes, so January is National Blood Donor Month, but it's also the month of our highest distribution. It's when most of our hospitals are in need of blood. Many people are starting over on their insurance plans and are having those elective surgeries and all sorts of things. So blood donation is huge because we need blood on the shelves when those hospitals need it.
Right, and giving blood, blood is something that is needed all year round, but during the holiday time it can kind of be slow because people get busy, obviously, with just being out of town or doing family-related things. Kids aren't in school, college students aren't in school, and so there's kind of a lag in the supply, right?
Right, so coming off the holiday season is especially tough. Our donations dip because we collect about a third of our blood supply from high schools and colleges. So now that they're starting back in session, it's a good idea to kind of get everybody in the habit of donating blood.
Great. And LeWayne, actually, you are a platelet donor.
Yes.
And because, of course, we're not just talking about donating blood, we're also talking about donating platelets, which is something that maybe people don't think about, but there definitely is a need for platelets.
Right, so platelets is, it's a blood component. And when you give a typical whole blood donation, they're taking all your blood components. So they're going to take your plasma and your red blood cells and your white blood cells and your platelets. But to make just a regular platelet donation, they separate out the rest of the blood components and then replenish everything but the platelets back into your system. So a platelet donation can come with 2 or 3 pints of the blood and the platelets to be able to transfuse into a patient. So that's very needed. Platelets only last on the shelf for 5 days. So it's something that's in need, if not more, than regular blood.
Right. And how long is the shelf life for blood?
So that's 42 days.
Okay.
So those red blood cells last for about 42 days, but platelets is only 5. So it's a constant need.
Wow. And LeWayne, how long have you been donating platelets?
I've been donating platelets for about the past year. I've been an overall donor for about 3 years now, but the past year I've primarily focused on being a platelet donor.
And why did you decide that you wanted to donate platelets?
It was something a little bit more personal to me. My father was a victim of cancer, and he needed constant platelet transfusions during chemotherapy. And as she was mentioning, with the short shelf life, there was often a shortage of platelets that he needed. And many times he had to wait for that availability. So by me donating platelets, it's me basically paying it forward for anyone else that will need it in the future.
I love that story. And Madeline, something that people may not be aware of is that actually 70% of blood donations go directly to benefit patients who are battling ongoing diseases.
Right. So those that are battling cancers or even blood cancers like leukemia and lymphoma especially are going to need they're going to need the red blood cells from a whole blood donation. They're going to need those platelets, and they're just invaluable. There is no replacement for human blood. There's nothing synthetic that we can do that would take any sort of replacement for what a blood transfusion can do for those patients that are battling those ongoing treatments.
And LeWayne, what is it like for you during the donation process? Is it easy to do?
Yes, it's a very easy process. It's approximately, I'd say, an hour and a half. But it's a very comfortable environment. There's great support staff that are there. There's many accommodations which will help pass the time, from the Wi-Fi, TV, a lot of entertainment that'll make it a little bit easier to pass the time.
Yeah, so at the Blood and Tissue Center, if you go and donate, there's some very comfortable chairs that are there, and as you mentioned, you have TV that you can watch, and put some DVDs in there to kind of help pass the time. How long does it take, though, for a blood donation?
So a typical whole blood donation, your time on the bed is only about 10 or 15 minutes. But your platelet donation is going to take a little bit longer, maybe an hour, hour and a half, because again, it's filtering it through an apheresis machine, and that separates out the blood components, so they're able to take more platelets but replenish everything else.
Okay, so that blood kind of goes back into your body, right? as opposed to, I guess, donating the blood.
Right, so the platelets are kept to go on and help that patient that's in need, but the rest of the blood components are replenished back into your body, whereas with a typical whole blood donation, we're taking all of the components at once and then separating them out later for the patients that are in need.
And so, LeWayne, how long did you say that you've been donating platelets for?
Platelets for about the past year now.
Past year.
Yes.
And so, do you know how many you've collected so far or donated?
This year, I should reach about 20 donations this year, but I have a New Year's resolution or a 2016 goal, which is to reach the maximum, which is 24 donations.
Wow, 24.
Yes.
So how often can you donate platelets?
So platelets you can donate about every 7 to 10 days, whereas with a typical whole blood donation, you have to wait about 8 weeks.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you have to space it out a little bit more.
For a regular whole blood donation, but for platelets, we can see you much more frequently, and it's
Got
all
it.
just based on your platelet levels.
And why is that you can donate platelets more often?
Well, because we're not taking all of the blood components, we're just taking the platelets, we're able to replenish them in your body much more quickly. So your body is replacing those platelets at a faster rate, which means that you have extra to give every 10 days.
You know, I donated blood for the first time about 3 years ago, and I have to say I was a little nervous. I mean, I think a lot of people might be a little nervous when they donate because just for the mere fact of the needles. But you know, I had a great experience at the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center. I mean, they made it so easy for me. Everyone just tends to your every need, you know, and of course everyone knew it was my first donation, so you know they were checking on me, making sure I had Gatorade and water, and I really thought it was a great experience.
We hear that feedback from a lot of our donors, and that's what keeps them coming back. It's one pinch, and it's kind of a quick process, and then it's over, and you know that with one whole blood donation, you're saving up to 3 lives.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, we all talk about wanting to give back and helping our community, and sure, you know, a lot of charities need donations, monetary donations, but giving blood is something that you can do that is free, first of all. It is of no cost to you, and it really does save lives.
Right? It's irreplaceable. There is nothing else that you can do to replace a blood transfusion for a patient that's in need. So giving that blood, it's the perfect New Year's resolution. You can come and give blood. You can give platelets up to 24 times a year because you can give them every 10 days. A regular whole blood donation that might be a little quicker and easier to fit into your schedule, you can give every 8 weeks. Something real nice to just pencil in on the calendar. Perfect New Year's resolution.
And what are the age? Are there any age requirements or anything else that people need to keep in mind?
Right. So to be able to donate blood, you have to be at least 16 years old. And if you are 16, you need that parental consent, and you have to be 120 pounds. But if you're 17 years or older, you only have to be 110 pounds. And then all of our donors, we ask that they're in good general health. And so you come in, you show a picture ID, and we can get you going.
Great. LeWayne, what would you tell people out there who maybe have never donated blood or platelets?
I mean, overall, as Madeline was saying, it's a very easy process, and just the satisfaction of saving lives. I mean, the short amount of time it takes to donate blood or platelets will save many lives and impact many future generations. And the satisfaction of saving lives in general is something that you'll treasure forever.
Yeah, and I like how you said too that you kind of use it now as a way to pay it forward to other
Yes.
people and give back. Do you know how much blood you've donated during that time?
During this time, I said my total donations have been approximately 40 donations, which is about 5 gallons of total donations.
Wow. But Madeline, I mean, I know I've met some people at the Blood and Tissue Center have donated quite a bit more.
Right, we actually just celebrated one of our donors who hit 90 gallons.
Wow.
Also a very committed platelet donor, and there are many people like LeWayne that are well on their way.
Right. And do you have to make an appointment in order to give blood?
Appointments are definitely accepted, especially for platelets, knowing that it'll take a little bit of time. Scheduling an appointment might just be better for our donors to make sure they can pencil it in on their calendar and kind of know, oh, I have to go at this time. But we, of course, accept walk-ins for whole blood and platelet donations.
Great. So again, tell us, where can people donate, and is there a number or a website they should go to?
Well, our main headquarters building at our donor pavilion is located right off of I-10 at Vance Jackson, but we have sites all around the city and even in New Braunfels, and those sites can all be found at southtexasblood.org. If you want to call and schedule an appointment, It's 210-731-5590.
Great. Well, thank you both so much for joining us. And of course, if you haven't donated blood, definitely, this is the year to do it. January is a perfect month, and it's a great way to give back and save lives.
It sure is. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
All right, stay tuned for more Focus right after this.